Time for another edition of Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Bradley Meyer from the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Big day at Okoboji Wellness Clinic, Dr. Meyer.
You bet. Big day. Glad to be with everybody here. We're bringing in Dr. Mark again. You know, he was on last week, but he was in North Carolina last week. Guess what?
He's here.
We got him here. Of course, Dr. Mark is the brainchild, the creator behind a very powerful tool called the Brain Gauge. Learn about how you can optimize that brain function with this tool that Dr. Mark has created, and we have been using here at the Okoboji Wellness Clinic, probably for about 6 to 8 months now, and we're using it in a manner to track and test and also improve connectivity in the brain. So get that brain working faster, sharper, better. But it's a really it's a cool tool to measure. And as we were talking before we went on the air, Dr. Mark, we've got a lot of case studies going here at the Okoboji Wellness Clinic. So as we do a lot with hyperbaric therapy, ozone therapy, getting people back into feeling their best, we want to be able to use this tool to help them get better, but also to track that improvement. So I've got a special guest, Dr. Mark, here with us today, and I'll let him take it away.
All right. So, Dr. Tommerdahl, we want to talk a little bit about how people, number one, we should first tell folks how they get tested, because it's quite simple how this is done, amazingly simple.
It is. It's extremely simple, and that was our goal, was to make a really easy test that's really accurate and objective. And we have what's called the Brain Gauge Quick Check. That's a 90-second test. Now, there's multiple apps with the Brain Gauge, and one of them is that 90-second test, and it's kind of equivalent to doing a blood pressure test. Of course, it's testing something different. It's testing your brain instead of your cardiovascular system. But it's just like a blood pressure test where, you get a really quick check and you can say up or down whether you're on track, and it's really good for tracking performance. And then we have other tests that are a lot deeper dive into what's going on. And then the other application is the Brain Gauge Gym. So all of these measures that we do are about connectivity, because that's the key element in the brain, is making things connect and making your brain cells fire right and making them connect. As we get older, everybody's always heard that you lose brain cells as you get older. Well, that's somewhat true. But what you gain is the connectivity. But as you get older, some of those connections get weak, and you need to strengthen them. And so that's sort of what we're aiming to do, is measure that, track it, and give you a way to strengthen those connections.
So we've all met elderly people that their brain seems to be phenomenal. It's just like they remember every detail of their life. It's just incredible. And then there's some of us that, boy, we get in the room, and you're like, why am I in this room? We seem to live in that state. So can the Brain Gauge move us towards just a better functioning brain like some elderly people have that seem to just be so sharp all the time?
Absolutely. Well, it does two things. One, the testing and tracking, even if that's all you do, if all you do is test with the Brain Gauge on a regular basis, it gives you an idea of what has an improvement on your life. If you're getting enough sleep, if you miss sleep for a couple nights and your scores are bad, you sort of get an idea, I need to be sleeping more. Or if you're drinking too much, or if your lifestyle, all your changes in your lifestyle are leading to degeneration in your brain. Now, the Brain Gauge Gym, it allows you to exercise. You can't just exercise. You got to do everything. That's what people here at the clinic like to encourage people to do. There's a lot of good things you can do to keep your brain sharp. Things like the hyperbarics and ozone therapy, those really help. And some people do. As we get older, as the demographic gets older and older, a smaller and smaller percentage of people are in that category of being very sharp, and unless they get help.
Mm-hmm. So I want to go back to this motocross story because I found this really intriguing last week when we touched base. Share that story again if you would.
Sure. One of the clinicians that uses the brain gauge in his practice gave a brain gauge to a 15-year-old that had pretty severe TBI, and he was using the brain gauge to rehabilitate his brain. And over the time, he got much, much better. He got from severely disabled to back to normative values. But as he did this, he realized, I think I can keep using this to be the best. And he wanted, because he's a competitive motocross cyclist, he wanted to be better. And he realized that things like reaction time and decision-making time, and really do help him outperform people. So, and as he trained, the other part of this story is he kept training and he got better. If you look across the board at all 50,000 people that have ever tested with the brain gauge, he's probably in the top 10 people. He said something like to that effect to the clinician, and the clinician asked me about it. And I said, actually, last week we had a 13-year-old girl outscore him. And that kind of miffed him a little bit. But, that's the way it goes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, and they had also trained from being pretty poor to being very good. They got over their injury as well.
So I want to talk a little bit more about the training because, yes, you get tested, and, yes, you find out what areas you might be lacking in with your brain. But then, just like anything else that we do, we think physical. We think about, maybe if you have a back issue, you need to strengthen your core, whatever the case might be. You can do the same thing with the brain to where you are weak. You can set up exercises with the brain gauge to help us get better.
That's right. People will say, I could do crossword puzzles. I could do these other brain training games that are online, but they're really somewhat effective, maybe about 10% as effective as what we do. But the reason that we are so far ahead of everyone in terms of brain training, that we have adopted the same techniques that people use for physical training for Olympic-style sports, things like swimming and running. And if you want to be the best, you emulate, what are the training techniques people are using to be the absolute best in terms of physical fitness. And for us, it was a straight transfer to that type of training, the same type of training that Olympic athletes would use to outperform people in swimming or track.
The thing that I'm really liking about the brain gauge, the first time I told you last week, first time I did it, I was petrified because I think I missed the first little buzz from the mouse. That's one thing we should talk about too. This tool, the brain gauge, it's the size of a computer mouse. It's just amazingly small.
That's right. It's actually lost 100 pounds in 20 years.
Yeah.
It started out really large and cumbersome, and it's laboratory equipment that we shrank down over time, first down to 15 pounds, and that was the world's first portable tactile stimulator. And then over the last several years, over the years that pursued, with that version, we collected so much good data that the Office of Naval Research decided to sponsor us, and they footed the bill for the last stages of miniaturization. So that's why this is an affordable device. Instead of $20,000, it's just a few $100s.
That's pretty incredible. So the other thing that I'm really liking, so I should finish the first story. So when I first took it, the first response I had was, you need to seek help. And let me tell you, that's a little scary when that comes up. But I took it again and found myself in the average range. My wife took it, and she was better than I was overall, but she was weak in the focus area. And so you can pinpoint specific areas as to what we need to improve on.
That's correct. That's the whole point of the brain gauge. And we don't mince any words with our critiques. And a lot of people do in the brain health world. They say, you're fine for your age. My parents got told that, and they both had full-blown dementia when they passed away. I just sort of, you know what? When people score bad, we say you need help. And you shouldn't ever be scared to take a test and see how you do. Now, it means a couple of things. If you do one of two things, really, if you do really poorly. Let's say you are early on dementia. Well, you're going to score poorly. But it's a little bit like a physical fitness test. We can show that you're out of shape. And, so you can either get in shape or maybe you have other issues that you need some kind of treatment for, some other kind of consult for. But it's really nothing to be afraid of. It just, might mean you just need to start working out a little bit.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Now, before I let you go, the other thing that I'm really liking about the brain gauge is not only at Okoboji Wellness Clinic, but certainly through the clinicians that you're seeing, Dr. Tommerdahl, you are getting a boatload of files of people that have used the brain gauge to much success.
From people recovering from traumatic brain injury, people reversing Parkinson's, degenerative disorders, anxiety, depression, PTSD. We've had experience with just about every neurological issue. And watching people get better is a lot of fun. But we have lots and lots of case studies.
You only got one brain, right? And how many of us have been touched by a family member that has seen the brain drain, the brain fog, the slowdown, and left with, okay, here's some Namenda, here's some Aricept, and I'm sorry, but there's not much else we can do. And there's always something that can be done. There's infinite amount of possibilities to help the body heal. This is a treatment device that is building connectivity. It is giving your body and your brain every chance to reclaim what it's losing. We're at 3305 Berquist Avenue in Spirit Lake, just off Highway 71. 712-339-6024 is our phone number, OkobojiWellnessClinic.com. And again, for anybody that's ready to start that wellness journey, they're not accepting just, as Dr. Mark said, well, it's just aging,
Yeah.
Come on out. You deserve more. Take advantage of that discovery call with me that's complimentary, 15-minute visit. You can call and get that scheduled as well. If you have questions that need to be answered about, how do I even plug in? How do I get started in this process? So
right.
We've got an incredible team. So what a great opportunity to have Dr. Mark out here with his incredible brain and this creation that is a gift. And let's take advantage of it.
So every Wednesday, we have Wellness Wednesday with Dr. Bradley Meyer. And every Wednesday before we chat, I throw up your website so I don't miss anything. And I noticed new on the right side, and you've had this for a while, the little promo spot. Love it, because I think this is what your mission, I have felt your mission has been since the very beginning. And we have talked about it a lot, that we do not want people to just survive the day, just to make it through the day. And so you have on your website right there, thrive, not just survive. For what you're doing at the Okoboji Wellness Clinic, I think that's absolutely perfect.
Last 4 years, the last year and a half with KILR, to spread the good news, get the word out there that there is hope out there, we can feel better, and the opportunity to bring folks, world-class folks from all across the country here to share their gifts and get us on that path, that wellness journey. So it's going to continue to climb and get better, and we're all in this journey together, and it's all pieces of the puzzles, I like to say, and a lot of times when we put them together, some amazing things take place.
All right, thank you very much. That's Dr. Tommerdahl and Dr. Bradley Meyer from the Okoboji Wellness Clinic.